Hey everybody, so in this tutorial just wanted to take you through a little bit of another prototype effect, um, um, and I'm going to show you an example of what I am going to do. So this is a preview of the one that is being completed, right? Um, if I scroll down and I see this element right here and I click here, do you see how it expands and it kind of push everything down, and then click and it close? So that's a little bit what I'm doing. And to be able to do this, you need to create a component, an interactive component. And so I'm going to start from this, from scratch. So let's say that I have this element, right? Already created. I want this button to expand the elements and then contract. So the best way to start is to make this element in a component, okay? So I select it, and in the design tab right here, you can click in here to make this element a component. You can also do it through the right click as well, but yeah, either way is the same. As we know, in order to create animation, you need like two stages. This is kind of the initial stages and this is the end stages, but both states needs to be part of the same component, right? And I just want to kind of create another instance inside this component. So this is the initial state, and then I want to create the end state. So if you see in the same prototype and the same panel in Figma at the right at the top, and you see this little icon say add variant. Add variant means add a second element for the same component. So this is kind of the initial state, and this is going to be the end state. So I want to expand this and create an element. I do have to mention that this element has auto layout applied. It just would not work if it doesn't have auto layout applied. Okay, so as you can see here, the auto layout, you just tick it and it automatically creates make it an auto layout with elements all aligned. If you don't know what auto layout is, just come back and watch the tutorial. So I'm going to create a little of square here, and just like creating like a little panel, because this auto layout, you see how everything else kind of expands automatically. And I want to be able to include all these in the same component. So I'm going to tick outside here, and I am just going to expand it. So to make sure that everything is inside, maybe a little bit more. And yeah, so this way you can expand it as much as you want. And then, okay, this is just going to be a plain text. So then I just create a text. I'm inside the rectangle. In the layers, I can see that. And I add, let's say, you see how we expanded? And that's because the text is outside the square and is basically expanding. So if I want to create one text inside this element, the best way to do it is to say convert frame, like frame selection, like here. So if you see what's happening here, because I'm breaking the hierarchy right here, I'm breaking this rule or grid, so that way I should be able to add any text inside. So let's see if that works. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to see expandable text. Well, I want this to also be a little bit better aligned, so I select it and I apply layout or align it inside better. I think this will work better. And then I said align. So that way, if I select this element, yeah, So let's say that I want this element to expand or contract. Okay, so now I have the initial state and the expandable text. Yeah. So now that I created, I just need to create some interactions, and I go to the prototype panel and I add an interaction right here and I say on tap. If you are working with a component, basically the element that you have to select is, instead of navigate to, you say change to, because what you are doing is kind of swapping one page or one panel for another. So you say change to and variant to, which is the second one here, and what it's going to do is to unclick. When you click here, you expand it. But then I said, how do I want it to be animated? So Smart Animate with a little bit of an effect. And let's see if that worked. Okay, so how do I take this element and I wanted to place it right here, right? So I select the object where I want that to be included, which is the car under the car grid icon. Bear in mind that again, this element needs to be part of the smart for the auto layout as well. And I'm going to the assets. When you create a component, where do you find the component? Under the assets area. So in the asset areas, you go to the all libraries, and in this page, component, and then pricing cards, and I drag it. I just drag it. That's the only way to. Okay, I drag it right there, and to see if it works, I have to preview the changes. Let's see if that worked. Okay, yep, it worked. But as you can see, doesn't happen. I mean, it doesn't contract it, like doesn't do the other way. What if I want to click here and bring it back? Okay. So obvious, I have to create the interaction. The same way that I added the animation here. I'm going to select this element and I say on click here, prototype, interaction, on tap, change to, default, Smart Animate, and yeah. But I also want this element to just change the text, right? Instead of expand, I'm going to write, yeah, I'm going to close. And this, I want to rotate it 180, see, yeah, I just did that, just that change. So let's see if that works. Yeah, so that's exactly what I wanted. I also want to show you what will happen if this element was not an auto layout, like the element that contains the new component that I created. What if it doesn't have any auto layout? Remove auto layout, preview, expand. You see how it doesn't move this because they are not connected with auto layout. So that's why it's important to make how to use it without. This is one of the instances that it only works if it's using auto layout. So that's a bit of a summary from that. I hope this helped. See you next time.